Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my video. I want to name this video "What Type of Government?" This is going to kind of like be start of a this may start of a series where I'm going to try to break down my idea of what might be the best government type that we could have as a society to function in this modern world. Because obviously things are changed, and we need to change our government to more better reflect where we're at in the modern world with the technology and everything, um, and where we're going with technology, obviously. So I'm going to call it What Type of Government? And in this series, like I said, I want to talk about what type of government we should have. So yeah, we're going to kind of get started on that. And I'm going to start at the basic level today. I'm going to start with the local form of government today. And I'm going to talk about the basic needs of a human and everything. This is really unscripted, so I'm kind of like, I've kind of thought about what to say, but I've kind of like, for the most part, have kept it unscripted, so it can come off more authentic and naturally in the moment, ideas and everything. I generally don't like scripting stuff. I usually generally like letting it come off natural. So I have thought about it, and I pulled this up, and these are some of the basic needs that it talks about that we need physically. So we have some physical basic needs, obviously, like food, water, air, and shelter. So in a modern world, with the way things are, we could regulate all those things to being controlled locally. Like for the most part, except for if you're in the city, you're gonna need to bring in obviously food and water from the outside. You're not gonna be able to regulate those on the inside. Now air is everywhere, so it's like that's already covered. Air is like everywhere. And then shelter, for the most part, with the way city structures are already established, we just have to figure out how to better maintain the shelter that they have in the cities. So they pretty much have shelter covered, and maybe have to build more apartments and etc. Whatever sort of building you have. Like, because I know probably still in some cities they have like studios, which are I guess technically still apartments, but they're above like stores, like smaller stores, instead of like so like an apartment building, a building that's dedicated to apartments. That is. So yeah, so all this stuff can basically be handled locally. Um, like far as food, like far as small countries, you could have like farms, local farms that handle things because we have those around here where I live at and stuff. I live out in the country. You can handle those locally at the local government level. You don't have to handle all of this stuff like at a federal level. We don't have to have like the Food and Drug Administration. We can get rid of that, the FDA. We can get rid of the FDA and have all this handled at the local level, um and everything, local government, which would be better because I think that we should have government local. I think that's what the founding fathers I mean, yeah, attended for the government to be of the United States. And plus, I think it also, because of that attention of wanting to do that, I think we ought to. But also, the reason I think they intended it to be that way is that the local government is closer to the people. So the people have more say and control over how the government is run. Because there's very few things the federal government needs to control, but I'll go over that in a later video. Right now, like I said, I'm focusing on local. I'm trying to break it down into parts and everything. There's gonna be a lot of things to think about as well. There are some things that I think ought to be controlled federally that may not necessarily look like it should be controlled federally necessarily right at the moment. I'm not gonna go over that too much. Because like I said, there's a lot of things. to think about. Um, yeah, let me see. I'm probably going to refine these videos as I kind of update my ideas and stuff. I'm probably going to refine them, obviously, and kind of do this series again. Um, this is just kind of like a rough draft of what I'm thinking right now. So, yeah, and I think at the local level, you can also handle the other things that people may need as well, because we don't only need these physical things. These are the physical things that we need. I think most things can be handled at the local level. So other things that we may need at the local level as well is like, obviously some like hospitals and things like that, as far as basic needs, because that's basic needs, hospitals, etc. And that's a whole another can of worms. Hospitals for where I live at right now. We're having problems with a hospital right now where I live at. We ain't had a hospital in years. Um, which is something that I think can be handled by the local government. I don't think it should be handled by the federal government. Um, the hospital system, which I think we should get rid of the big pharmaceutical company. I think we should get rid of that personally. I think we should go back to a more holistic way of looking at medicine. I'm not saying everything is sunshine and roses on a holistic end either, but at least it's better than what we currently have with pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals are typically made out of herbs, yes, but herbs are a lot, which I know that's what y'all would be saying. Like obviously, medicine's a lot of times made out of herbs, like in the pharmaceutical industry, but the way they modify it, it doesn't make it actually like what the herb would be if it was pure in its natural form. Kind of like how weed is stronger now than what it used to be, like in its natural form. That's that's exactly what pharmaceuticals are. It's stronger than it actually naturally was. The herb that the pharmaceuticals made out of. It's stronger, and plus also it's changed because of how they deal with it in the um like in the um how do you put it? I guess you could say the laboratory. I think it's really what they how they make it because I don't know exactly how they do it because I've never been inside the pharmaceutical industry to know exactly how they do it. I've seen videos about the pharmaceutical industry. From what I can tell, it's like a laboratory is what they make the medication at. But so in that facility, the laboratory, they tend to make it stronger than what it um is naturally. In its most natural form, which is what I'm advocating that we should take herbs in their most natural form. I'm not saying like anything that's altered or whatever, what have you. I'm saying like that herbs in its most naturalist form. Actually, if we could find it in its 100% natural form, I would say take that before you take anything that's even still yet store bought and made like into gummies or whatever, or what have you. Because they have like also stuff herbs that are in gummies, like vitamin C is like a vitamin you can find in gummies, and then you got all sorts of other probably vitamins I think as well that you can find in gummy form, or you can get I have some like because of where it's legal in my state and everything, I use CBD. You can find CBD in gummies as well. So yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms though, the herbs, because stuff that could probably be that's probably something that may have to be more or less regulated by federal government instead of local government because of where you have herbs so much spread out across the world. That would probably be regulated by the federal government in that case. That would have to be on probably categorized under the federal. So but still even that would be very low regulation because herbs are natural, but I would say still learn about them, understand what they do, and spread that knowledge to the people and everything so people can make a wise and very informed decision because there's not a lot of testing with birds right now. And like I said, it's a whole other story. I'm getting off topic. I'm rambling like I sometimes do. I tend to go from one topic to another pretty quickly. So I'm going to try to get back on local, the topic of local government and what um, it should cover. But like I say, food, water, shelter, that's a couple things it should cover. It should also cover, like I say, hospital, dealing with the hospital system, dealing with the EMS, in other words, the emergency medical technicians. Also dealing with firefighters. It should deal with them locally. It should be at the local government level. And dealing with shooting and police. There we go. Police should be handled at the local level. Now there should not be any three-letter agencies in the federal government. I'm going to say that right now that operate within the United States. So those would be eliminated. In my opinion, I think they should be eliminated at all costs. There that could be a whole other subject federally when we get to that topic about outside of the United States. But within the borders of the United States, there should be no three-letter agencies that operate within the borders of the United States, or four letters, possibly, depending on. Again, that depends, because obviously NCIS and stuff like that will be covering the four-letter agencies, but that would depend on that being different because of where it's taking care of naval crime, NCIS, for example, that would be different. But then again, that will cover more into when we talk about the federal government, because we're trying to stay on local right now. And trying to get on topic again by doing that. So yeah, like I said, food, water, shelter, EMS, um, firefighters, hospital, police. That's all going to be local, run by the local government. And then obviously the local government would have a building. It would have representatives, obviously from every voting district like it currently has, or at least that's how it works in my locality. Is that we have representatives from each voting district in my locality. Granted, that could be different in other states, because each state has different rules and how it works. And for my locality, we have representatives from each voting district within my county. So, yeah, but it would handle. I would think that would be okay to have a representative from each district on a board, as it were, representing each district. Now, granted, I would want probably two people instead of one. I think I would prefer two because currently right now it's only one person. I would prefer two so that way they could hold each other accountable to what the people want. There would be some checks and some balances to what the people would want, and that way it's definitely gonna be for sure. If you can't get one to do what the people want, you can more or less go to the other one and try to get the other one to put a little bit of pressure on the other one if you have to, like as far as what the majority wants, not what the minority wants, because obviously we run off the majority rules when it comes to these things. So, so obviously it'd be what the majority wants. I still like that idea, what the majority wants, not what the minority wants. Um, and everything. Rule. Um, so yeah, maybe I should have worded it differently. Hopefully I worded that right. Because I gotta learn all these TOS words like trigger words and stuff. I gotta learn all those words. Hopefully I worded it right and I didn't trigger anything. I didn't do anything wrong according to YouTube's rules. Because I'm still learning YouTube's rules. So yeah. continuing on though, obviously the local government will have a governing body. And I also think education should also be handled at the local level and everything instead of federal. So we get rid of the federal education system and we would opt for a local governmental educational system. Or better yet, I would say a better option would be, as far as the local, would be, you know, going to the parents and putting the education on them to take care of, like it was back in the olden days. And it's a lot easier now than it was back in the olden days because we have technology and it makes it a lot easier to do that than back in the olden days. Because now you can hire, like, you got these online, like, in today's world, you have these online education programs. Like there's a K through 12, I think, online educational program that parents could send their children through and everything. So um, there's that option. There's probably other numerous options as far as education for that. And granted, I know some people would say, how does the kids get social interaction with other kids their age? Well, it would be in the neighborhood like it used to be. They would go outside, interact with people in the neighborhood, or even if they wasn't that kind of kid, they can interact with kids that are local, you know, on video games. If they're more of a video game player, they can like interact with kids that are local on that, or interact with kids that are local, um, you know, through social media. But like I say, preferably if we could get them to go outside, I guess, depending on if that's the kind of thing. I wouldn't say like I guess parents should choose that based on what they would want for their kids, you know, more or less than you could. But there's other options too if you wanted to use those options. That's more or less technically, I would say, up to the parent because I really want the parent to control the kid's education, not the government. I really don't want government to control it. That's the key. I don't even want to control it. I want that to be up to the parent and give the parent more power to control their kid's education and and everything. Granted, I would say we should probably watch out for bad parents. So I'm not saying that I would trust every parent. I would want to obviously at a local governmental level have a check in on the parents and have a check and balance of on that. So that's something I think should be handled locally. That you should have some sort of a check and balance system to check in on the parents to make sure they're getting their kids properly educated. But it should be on a local level so other parents in the locality can have some control over the government is checking in on the quote unquote could be bad parents. You have to investigate it to know whether or not that's the case and have to take it by case basis, obviously, and everything. But there would still be some checks and balances where the other parents could intervene if the parent was wrongly looked at that way and they know the parent, they could intervene with the local government and get them off the parents' back, and everything, if that was the case. Or if it wasn't, they could push the local government to obviously take care of that and get that child the proper education that that child needs. So that would still be handled at the local government level, nevertheless. So the federal government would not be involved. Because most things can, like I say, be handled at the local government level. We don't have to have the federal government as much as we do. For some reason, people decided to go that route, though. I don't know why. I guess maybe it kind of seems too complicated with how many cities and counties and stuff we have. But it probably isn't really that complicated, especially if we can get the people to come together, which is the tough part, getting the people to come together to take care of these things. More than more than that it is tough to get these things implemented. But yeah, that's another thing that can be handled at the local level. think there's probably some other things, so I might want to do a part two of this video. So I think this is one I'm going to end it here, and I'm going to do a part two. So gotta watch out for that. I might do that today, might not. It kind of depends. It is like 9:02 at night right now where I'm at. So yeah, I may do that today, maybe not. But yeah, y'all have a good one though. That's part one of local government. We're gonna call this one a video local government, or what type of government? What type of government? Question mark local government, and then put part one. So yeah, for now y'all have a good one. See y'all in the next one.